Is this legit? I'm Sophie, tech marketer and social scientist. When I'm not advising tech startups on their marketing strategies, I'm helping protect everyday folks from online threats.
I'm Kris, a marketer with a background in both agencies and tech companies.
This week on Is This Legit?
Are we talking about dropshippers trying to sell other people courses on how to do dropshipping?
Mm-hmm.
No! Happy recording day.
We're back with this week's episode of Is This Legit?
With an episode on
dropshipping.
dropshipping.
Yes, dropshipping. Is it the genius side hustle or an overpriced middleman factory?
I don't know. It sounds, I don't have experience in the business model of dropshipping, and I also have zero experience in the consumer side.
Actually, that's what you think. Because you never know.
I make a point to buy things in a physical store a lot. Because I'm a paranoid girly.
And that's fair. And that's fair. And I mean, I didn't really think that I've ever bought anything from a store that drop ships until kind of recently. So this episode on drop shipping actually was a request we got on LinkedIn. And I was kind of like, oh, well, okay, just put it on the list. Didn't really think that much about it until recently where we had the Black Friday, right? So I was kind of like, oh, lots of great deals. And I had been eyeing silk pillowcases for a while. I know, very bougie.
No, I have silk pillowcases that I bought in an in-person store.
I mean, I don't know where you can buy them here in Helsinki. So I got an Instagram ad from an Estonian brand. And I was like, oh, well, it's an Estonian brand, right? I saw some articles about them in Estonian media. And I was like, all right, fair enough. They have a discount for Black Friday. Let me just buy something from them. I bought the pillowcases. I have what seemed like a great deal. And then lo and behold, the Instagram algorithm was like, she is interested in silk pillowcases.
Oh, dear.
So I started getting served ads by other brands. And I was like, well, okay, pillowcases, you can't really tell if they're same-ish, but in that store, they also had sleeping masks. And I was like, they look all pretty similar. And I went to their website. Okay, the website also looks very similar. Is this drop shipping? That meme with the little butterfly with the anime guy, is this drop shipping? So that's where I was like, oh, damn. And I went to AliExpress. I put in the exact same search terms with the silk pillowcase, mulberry silk, silver ions. I don't know what they are. English is not my first language, so pardon me. But yeah, I found them, I think, on AliExpress for fraction of the price. So I was like, God damn it. I probably fell for a dropshipping scheme. I mean, it's not a scheme, right? But I think it's just kind of realizing that behind this big brand and marketing that they've built up, it's just somebody buying stuff from a factory in China and reselling it here in Europe.
Okay, so let's see if I can get this straight. So you saw the ad from the legit brand?
Yes. It's a brand. They call themselves, I'm not going to name them, but they have their little e-store and they have silk pillowcases, bed sheets, and sleeping masks.
Okay. They're the dropshipper?
I can't tell you for sure because obviously it's not really stated anywhere. But I started getting ads for other brands based out of Nordics, and they had very similar looking products. So I was like, are you guys all buying it from the same factory or distributor?
Aha, interesting. Okay. And yeah, of course, then you're going to find either the knockoffs or whatever else, on some other reselling website like AliExpress or whatnot. Cool. Can I ask for price range, just approximately?
Yes. So the pillowcases that I was looking at, they were somewhere between like 50 to 70 euros.
Whoa.
Because they're advertised in that like wellness, health,
Yeah.
beauty like bracket. And of course, you can like jack up the prices. When I go to AliExpress and I looked up for the same search terms, it was like 20 euros.
Yeah.
So, and then all of these other European brands that I saw, they also had like featured in Vogue. And I'm like, well, of course you were featured in Vogue, but yeah, it's interesting.
So wait 1 second. So some of them, these other brands, are you still unsure whether they're legit?
I don't think that I wouldn't say they're not legit. I just think that they're potentially all buying from the same place.
Right.
And that
Because
they
I'm thinking
built their own
featured in Vogue, featured blah blah, like all these social proofs, so logos, whatever.
I think it's legit. It's the same where I found that Estonian brand selling those products. They were featured in Estonian media as well. It's just the market is so small that we don't have that many other players, right? And if
Right.
each of those is operating, one brand was from UK, one brand was from Lithuania, and then this brand that I bought from, they pretty much do marketing only in Estonia. So they each get their slice of the pie.
Yeah. And I'm guessing there's no physical store. Like this is just e-commerce. Yeah.
No. So I don't know. That got me to thinking. And I guess, I mean, I still like the product that I bought, but it just got me to think a little bit about, drop shipping kind of becoming a little bit sneaky. So I wanted to make an episode about it because there's actually a lot of people that believe in drop shipping and they are kind of trying to get a business running. When I was doing research, there was a lot of overlap with that episode we did on 9 to 5. You'll hear about that later. But yeah, let's start maybe with the basics. So, what is drop shipping? When we start talking about terminology, so traditionally, drop shipping means that you, as the seller, don't hold any inventory. So you list products on your site, and when someone buys something from you, you place an order with a supplier who ships it directly to the customer. So that's why you have these 2-week kind of wait times because they're shipping it most likely from China. So as a store owner, you just pay the supplier for an item when someone buys it, and you're not responsible for producing it, storing it, or shipping it.
Um, this is smelling of MLM vibes. The main difference is that you're not recruiting people, but ultimately, a lot of the business models with MLM, with the ones that have physical products, you had
I
a
guess so.
catalog and then you order and then it ships directly to the other person and you might never see it.
Yeah, sort of. I guess what the beauty of like drop shipping is when I was kind of reading into it, the communities on like Shopify and Reddit is that there's a lot of like product research involved. So where you have like an MLM brand like Mary Kay or I don't know, who else is there? Amway, right? So you all have the same like product range, but as a drop shipper, you kind of do some research, maybe on Google Trends. You see what is like trending. You try to find like a niche or a problem that you're solving. Maybe there's a product that is very, expensive in the West. And then maybe you find like a pet product, a dog leash for really cheap on like AliExpress. And then you create like a little brand. You do some TikToks around it, make it like really like trendy and viral, and then you just sell that. But it is very much like tied to like doing a bit of like your own product research and like trend research. So you have more freedom there.
Okay, so basically curating and it's basically marketing.
A lot of it, yeah. It is
Basically
kind of trying to create an appealing brand so consumers buy from you, and which is what, for example, that brand with the silk pillowcases did. They had fancy story where it was like legit. They had the story of like, oh, our kids were, constantly having allergies and breaking out and rashes. And then we got the silk pillowcase and it was so good for their skin. So that's where that story came from. After I bought the product and I was like, oh, this is probably drop shipping, I started doubting this entire story. As a marketer, you learn to doubt things. After looking into that brand, I never saw the person who's actually behind the brand. And Estonia is really small. So that's why I was like, this is a little sus. But what I've recently started like noticing that with drop shipping is that a lot of these brands, they actually do hold a little bit of inventory because obviously like in the case of these pillowcases, I didn't have to wait for like 2 weeks. It was there like in 3 days. So they do have some stock locally. But it is still pretty much like drop shipping vibes where you purchase a product from somewhere else. Probably there's other brands that are using the same factory. They might do a little bit of customization for your own brand, but it's pretty much the same product across these 3-4 brands.
So they might not even have inventory themselves. There might just be warehouses that they've never even been to or are not even related to or whatnot. They might have space there. They might not even have anything to do with those warehouses. So again, wherever they're buying, I don't know if I'm convinced yet whether this is, sketchy or not. I feel like
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not, I don't know. I
We'll
haven't
get there.
figured it out yet. I don't have an opinion yet, which is not
Keep on
good. I usually have strong opinions from the get-go. I have no opinion yet. Oh no.
maybe that's good. Maybe that's good. I will surprise you, maybe, hopefully.
Oh no. I like being paranoid.
But yeah, essentially the business model is, having a middleman or being the middleman, right? You're the one creating the marketing and then the products are somewhere else. So you're the middleman, kind of identifying the trend and helping the factories or the producers of these products then sell their products more efficiently, and you're just reaping the whatever you
to
get
be
from
fair,
green.
right, to be fair, most stores are like that. There's a lot like they're not necessarily selling their own like brand label product.
As a traditional like retail store, you do have like some stock, right?
Sure. But what I mean is like it's quite similar in terms of like business model. The main difference is just that you don't have the physical stock because you sell online. So you don't have a store, like a physical brick and mortar. But you still have like I don't know, it's not that far off, is what I'm trying
Well,
to say.
yeah. Look,
No.
I have no issues with talking about the business model itself. Like it's and it's not new. So
Yeah.
a lot of it. When you talk about like drop shipping, there's this connotation like it's the modern like internet era thing where you have like Shopify, that's the big platform, eBay, Amazon, like a lot of drop shipping is happening there. But actually, it dates back to the 1960s and 70s where there were catalogs that kind of dominated retail. So companies like Sears or Roebuck, I think it's called Roebuck. So they were kind of staples in American households, and they offered a massive selection of products from clothing to farming equipment in their catalogs.
I'm
And of
sorry.
course, Sears didn't keep all of those products in their own, warehouses or stock. So instead, they used a method strikingly similar to modern drop shipping. When a customer ordered a product, Sears passed the order to a manufacturer or third-party supplier who then shipped it directly to the customer.
Really? So we had Sears catalogs. We had Sears
Yeah.
in Canada. And I did not realize that it was not just, oh, our central warehouse has all the shit and then you can order whatever we don't have in store. They might actually
Yeah,
But-
and I think in retrospect it makes sense, right? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
I didn't think of that.
see the OG drop shippers, Sears.
Genius.
And then we go over to the 1980s to teleshopping.
Oh,
So infomercials, that kind of added another layer. So businesses were advertising their products on TV and they shipped orders straight from suppliers. So the core principle of drop shipping, selling products without actually holding inventory, that remained unchanged. And I think we all, even like in the 90s, I remember like we had these like different mattresses and butterfly apps, like this like little electronic impulse like thing that you put on your like belly and then it like sends these like impulses and it gives you magical abs. Cutting like knives, all kinds of like fancy knives. I remember those being advertised on TV. So
I mean, I'm from pretty close to the American border, and so we did have channels that were like the Vermont local stations, like public radio, public TV, and all that. So we had a lot of the American ads that were going in Vermont that we also saw. And so yeah, the infomercial era I definitely lived through. We did not have streaming, so you watch what you could.
I always wonder
Yeah.
who's watching those.
Oh,
Is that it?
sick child that's at home and has nothing else to do.
That's the vibe that I have. You're like
Huh?
sick, you're not going to school, and you watched all your morning cartoons. And from one point, like between whatever other shows would start, like later on, you would have like an hour or two of just infomercials. And
Yeah, the
we're just like,
infomercials. You had soaps, you had Oprah and Ellen, and that was it.
from those days, like it's just such a fever dream. Like, what is going on? Like, Spinny, how was your day? I have no idea what's going on.
So Sears catalogs to telemarketing
Yes. And
commercial.
when we talk about 60s and 70s, I guess I started thinking like, but where would the products come from? Because the whole thing with China, little history segment here, as somebody who studied Chinese history, but like Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms didn't start until the late 70s in China.
Right.
Before that, China's economy was closed off because it was socialist and it was a centrally planned system under Mao Zedong. There was no, the thing that China was a factory of the world, that was later in the 90s. So where did the products come from? That the US was a global manufacturing leader back in the day. So a lot of the goods were made in the cities like Detroit, for example. They had the big automobile industry. Pittsburgh was great with steel. We had Chicago, which was famous for machinery, and New York for garments and consumer products. So a lot of the items in Sears catalogs were then domestically produced. Then, of course, we had Europe. Countries like Germany, the UK, and France, they dominated manufacturing with specialties ranging from machinery to textiles and design goods. And then, of course, we have post-war Japan. So after World War II, Japan's rapid industrial growth made it a hub for high-quality, affordable consumer electronics, vehicles, and gadgets. So, everybody had radios and calculators that were bought from catalogs. And then that's where we get to the interesting part. So we have the 90s and the 2000s. So the internet became really popular. And so the drop shipping model took on a whole new life. We have platforms like eBay, which launched in 1995. Mind blowing, 1995. So that became a hotspot for entrepreneurs experimenting with reselling. Then in the early 2000s, we have Amazon. So it didn't really start off as a drop shipping platform, right? It was like selling books mainly. Third-party resellers quickly realized they could leverage Amazon's massive audience without ever touching inventory themselves. And Amazon even introduced its own drop shipping friendly programs like the Fulfilled by Amazon service.
So the Fulfilled by Amazon, is that basically that Amazon holds the inventory, or
Let me quickly Google that. Fulfillment by Amazon is a program that lets you outsource order fulfillment to Amazon and offer customers free 2-day shipping through Prime. With FBA, you can send your products into Amazon's global network of fulfillment centers and will pick, pack, and ship orders, as well as handle customer service and returns.
that's interesting.
As sellers send their own products to Amazon, which warehouses everything and then processes the orders as they come in. As long as you handle the sales and make sure Amazon stays stocked with your products, the rest is done for you. So I think you kind of so whether I don't know if Amazon actually helps with connecting you with the factories, but once you get that shipment from the factory, you send it to the Amazon like warehouse.
Yeah.
And then you deal with the marketing, the sales, but then you tell Amazon, hey, there's a purchase, deal with the shipping.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, now I got it. So it's kind
Me
of
too.
like, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, not that I want to give more money to Bezos, but that's an okay model if you don't want to have to deal with that part, which not everybody wants to do the logistics themselves. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, what? First of all, yeah, you don't want to do it yourself. Second, like, you don't want to hire people to do that, right? Like, the whole idea is for a drop shipper is to keep your business really lean. So you have your factory, it's manufacturing the product. You're doing the marketing, I don't know, running Facebook ads or whatever. And then, great, like, I'm going to pay a little bit to Amazon. They have the infrastructure, they have the resources to, like, manage this big, like, warehouse and, like, have the people to deal with the shipping. I think yeah, like it's really smart, honestly. But what are the alternatives, right?
Well, see, so here's my point on the alternative. I think because so much stuff is automated, I think there are some people that might actually value the less automation, slower pace, like less fast consumer angle. I don't know. I mean, we're sending out a newsletter. By the way, listeners, subscribe to our newsletter. isthislegitpod.com. And I just send it from our inbox. No automation, no whatever. It's just little and me.
Let's talk about it again when we have like 20,000 whatever listeners.
It doesn't matter.
Right?
No, but it's still easy though. Like I just have the list as a list, and then I plop the list in, and then I do the thing, and I said, like, there's no extra. It wouldn't be harder. It's not harder than if I would use like MailChimp or whatever. So I don't know, but it's interesting. It's interesting because you're definitely exchanging like, okay, it's my time and it's my resources versus how authentic do I want to be, and is that important to my consumers? And I think that's a brand decision as well, because if the authenticity and the human factor isn't something that's of value to your consumers, then automate it all, right? And so then of course it makes sense because you can spend more time doing something else. Um
I will probably cover that later on and how drop shipping as a business practice is being marketed, which will maybe explain why this fast, automated all vibe is like coming through. But let's cover the last bit of the historical bit of this podcast episode, which is the era where e-commerce exploded, really, in the 2010. So we have Shopify. Very important bit.
Shout
Shopify,
out Canadian company.
oh, is it? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They are the king and queen of drop shipping. So it was 2006 where they launched, and they really revolutionized e-commerce. It was around like 2010 that drop shipping like really exploded, and Shopify made it really easy for anyone to set up an online store without any, technical know-how. They had integrations with platforms like Oberlo, which is now actually owned by Shopify, and it allowed sellers to automatically import products from suppliers like AliExpress. Just the pipeline from AliExpress straight to your store, setting you up for some drop shipping success. And then, of course, we have social media that also played a massive role in this era. We have Instagram and Facebook ads that became the primary marketing tools for dropshippers. It does seem like a simple thing to set up, put a bit of money behind it, and just get started, right? So we have this dream of the laptop lifestyle. That was something that people kind of bought into, and thousands of people wanted to try their hand at dropshipping. So now anyone essentially with a laptop and the Wi-Fi setup can get their store started in minutes, and you have some Instagram ads, pinch your FOMO, and boom, you're a CEO of your own brand.
Boss lady.
Girl boss.
Oh my God. No, but like, This is interesting. This was what, like in the 10s?
Yeah.
Does this still work?
So that is a very valid question. From research, it seems that maybe some of the tactics have just like changed. It might have been a little bit easier when the market wasn't as saturated back in the days. And there's like really big success stories actually from the 2010s that might be even like surprising. Have you heard of the brand Gymshark?
Yes.
Yes.
The CEO
Started out.
The CEO was at a conference like where I was at like a month ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He was going up keynotes.
I mean, Gymshark is a big success story, right? The guy was 19 when he started the brand, but it
Wait,
started out as a dropshipping
dropshipping?
business.
Really?
Yes, yes. So, of course, now they're a global fitness apparel giant. But back in its early days, the company used a dropshipping model to sell fitness supplements and their clothes. So the guy Ben Francis, he started Gymshark in 2012 as a dropshipping business because he was too, he was a poor student. He was 19. He didn't really have any like budget or resources to buy a huge amount of stock. So he had these supplements from some other manufacturer that when an order was placed, he would just like ship it out. And that's how he started making his first bucks. And eventually they pivoted into designing and manufacturing their own products. And then, of course, they're not big brands, but you've probably seen them a lot. So we have these like trendy gadgets, and a lot of them are being dropshipped. So you have these like collapsible coffee mugs, or you maybe have seen the viral moon lamp.
No, I'm not unsocial enough.
Yeah, so the moon lamp, it's essentially a lamp, like a round moon shaped like lamp, and it stands on like these wooden kind of like angles. Maybe I can like show it to you. At some point it was like really popular on social media like Instagram, TikTok. You've never seen this?
Nah, maybe. I don't know, like tangentially.
Yeah, it's not really a moon lamp that was like viral
Okay.
at some point. And you see like, some Finnish stores like selling it for $22. I'm pretty sure I saw it for like $100 something when it first came out. Temu, $20. 20, yeah, euros.
So here's the thing, like I don't use Google for search anymore, like I haven't for ages. And I don't like I know that all of that bar there, that lovely like top products, they're all drop shipping mostly. So I just like don't. I don't go on Google really. That's why I still go into physical stores and go directly to actual manufacturers of things and find out if there's an actual story behind.
You and I think like oftentimes I need to remind myself that we live in a bit of a bubble with our like friend circles. And when I go to Reddit or I go to Facebook and I read, comments in Facebook groups, then I see that there's a lot of people who order stuff online. They order stuff on Temu. They order stuff.
I know they do.
Or like they buy.
I need to stop my parents all the time. I tell them, don't go to these places.
So I think you need to
Maybe I'm wrong.
just being realistic is that a lot of people they do prioritize how much the thing like costs and convenience. So, not everyone has the time or they live in an accessible place where they can like just walk into a store and get a very hyper specific thing. And oftentimes it is like cheaper that you can get it online. So that's the reality. They buy it online. And they're just like white label products. It's the same thing that you see, like that moon lamp that I showed you. It's the same item. It's just rebranded in like 50 different ways. And another interesting thing is that you've probably seen like a TikTok. There's a lot of these ASMR videos that a lot, is also, it's a prime candidate for drop shipping. There's a lot of these TikTok accounts that are effectively using ASMR videos as free advertising for the product. You have these soap cutting kits and like slime and these like crackly things like that's all like drop shipping stuff.
Yeah.
But there's, of course, some drop shipping scandals and controversies that I
Oh,
cover.
those are the fun ones.
Sad ones, actually. I have a very sad.
Oh no.
Yes, that one happened very recently. It's something from like 2 days ago that I saw a news report. I think it was Colorado, somewhere like a small town in the US. So, a recent investigation found that some pet owners who bought flea collars from Amazon ended up with counterfeit goods. So, these collars looked like the real deal. They were kind of, dupes of some branded product. These flea collars, but they actually didn't protect pets from fleas or ticks. And what's worse is that some of these fake collars actually contained harmful materials. So there were cases of dogs developing cancerous lumps on their necks after the collar was bought and put on them. So there was a case of a woman whose dog died. She put the collar on. They detected a couple of lumps on his neck. Months later, months further from that, the dog was not with us anymore. And yeah, so these collars were being marketed as kind of like dupes or these, knockoffs of the slightly cheaper version of that same brand that they were being dupes of. They had very professional looking packaging, and that's kind of where this drop shipping bit comes in, that the sellers of these fake collars weren't actually handling the products themselves, so they relied on the suppliers, so they didn't vet these third party manufacturers. um, they didn't check the products if they're actually legitimate, if they're safe for pets to use, and who's going to be responsible, right? If the seller just disappears and your pet dies, you can't go back to anyone to complain anymore. So, yeah, we have a bit of these risks when you're buying drop shipped products. Is it's hard to kind of be certain what you're getting. It's the same with of course, pet supplies, but then we have oftentimes products that are going into the beauty area, some kind of beauty tools. You don't know where they're made, if the plastic that it's made with is actually safe, that there is no toxins in there. So again, there's safety matters in specific regions. They're regulated, these industries, and that's why you have to be very kind of careful what you're buying. Same thing with supplements. And thinking back about Gymshark, but supplements, I would not want it to be some random drop shipped product that I can't actually trace back to the manufacturer. This is very shady.
So then how can consumers protect themselves from crappy products if everything is being drop shipped?
I'll talk about that.
Okay, not yet.
Not yet, but yeah, and then of course electronics. These are also. Would you feel safe buying random electronics from online that can
No.
malfunction?
Not just that. So I've been working in cyber for a bit now. First few months working in the industry. Basically, IT said you are prohibited from using anything that connects that you've bought. We have things that connect, like cords, USB, whatever. Don't use what you've had before for work stuff. We will provide, because I don't know how bad it is, but definitely USB sticks, no. Don't plug in a USB stick that you don't know where it came from. Even things to charge your laptop or whatever. They're no. No. You will use the plug we give you, the one that comes from the manufacturer, the one that comes from Apple. That's it. And that's just that, because they are hackable. They are.
Yeah.
And there have been cases. They're not safe. They might overheat your device. They might break your device. They might, have malware. I don't know if that's still possible, but anyway, yeah, there's been cases of really bad things happening. So no, I don't trust. And it's my main thing is I'm whose tiny hands made this product?
That too.
Because if it costs this low, I'm like, it's mostly a machine and a child, most likely. And I'm like, no, no thanks. I don't want. And I know it's a place of privilege. I can do that. But also then just I try to buy less. I don't know. Like, nah.
Another thing that I wanted to cover is Etsy. Of course, everyone knows Etsy is the platform where people who have some special talents or they do some crafts or some,
Used to.
Yeah. Yes, awesome like vintage products. That was like their marketplace, and now it's just flooded with drop shipping scams. So it's often sellers that are misrepresenting mass produced goods as handcrafted or vintage. And, they're probably like these products are just like sourced from third party manufacturers. And that's a massive problem for people who genuinely do some awesome stuff that they're selling on Etsy. And now they are just like flooded with these like cheap, like products coming from like Asia and like not like Asia not being the problem, but like the fact that they're mass produced and like falsely advertised as like handmade stuff. So that's another way of like people trying to scheme around and tweak the marketing a bit.
They're trying to go for the people like, homemade, handmade, from our country kind of let's support local small businesses, but not everybody that's back to our 9 to 5 episode. Not everybody has a good idea that makes sense to
Or even the skills to craft something, right? So they just buy mass-produced products.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we talked about the products, some of the scandals, the scams, but I think what is really interesting about dropshipping are the gurus, the dropshipping gurus, or that very special breed of entrepreneurs.
Wait. Are we talking about dropshippers trying to sell other people courses on how to do dropshipping?
Mm-hmm.
No.
And that's where, like, you earlier kind of like asked, like, oh, is this still a business model that is like viable? And to me, it's interesting that there's a couple of these dropshipping gurus that initially they got famous because they made a ton of money from dropshipping. And I would ask, like, if they are mainly now doing content around dropshipping and courses around dropshipping over doing the dropshipping, that's where the question comes in, where is the money? These are the gurus or entrepreneurs that you see all over YouTube and Instagram mostly. They're driving in these rented fancy cars like Lamborghinis and selling these really expensive courses that promise that you too can make a fortune in just 1 month by selling cat themed phone cases or something other silly, whatever is trending, right? So a lot of these dropshipping gurus are self-proclaimed experts who often say that they've made a ton of money from these e-commerce kind of like stores that they've set up. They post really flashy ads on social media offering, free webinars or guides to kind of like lure you into their funnel. And, as we said, the real money isn't in drop shipping, but actually in teaching drop shipping. And that really made me think about this like fun saying that during a gold rush, sell shovels. And that analogy for me is just like perfect. Also, random side quests here, but do you know that this is how the Trump family actually made their fortunes?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Is it
during the gold rush in the
the gold rush.
yes. So the grandfather of Donald Trump, he was a German immigrant that went to the U.S. and there was a gold rush, and he was also traveling to where they promised gold, but he quit halfway and he decided to set up a brothel. So all of the people who are working in the gold mines, they were going to the brothel, eating, drinking, having a fun time. And that's the hotel that they stayed at. That's where the Donald Trump family got all the money from.
I don't even want to. think about that.
That was even Canada, actually. That was somewhere in British
No.
Columbia.
No, I refuse. No, will not associate.
I am not. Yeah, I refuse to be associated with this.
It's the part of Canada I have not visited, so no.
I am not responsible for this.
Nope. Oh my God.
But yeah, a lot of the times I want to remind people that the stuff that they are selling in their courses, you can find it online for free. And I stumbled on a very fascinating article by Wired, and that was talking about a dropshipping community in Bali. So it's an entire subculture of like these digital nomads who are trying to live this like laptop lifestyle while peddling cheap products. So it was like, I don't know, Fire Festival meets like hustle culture. Um, these dudes like living in Canggu. And there was a very interesting guy, Mike the Steel. So he's a self-described entrepreneur, author, and YouTuber. When you go to his YouTube channel, like his banner. So this Mike the Steel guy, he has 860K YouTube followers or subscribers and 113K Instagram followers. And his Instagram headline, he writes that he's a 7-figure digital nomad and he helps 9-to-5ers work remotely, which is, do you see some overlap with our previous episode on the 9-to-5?
Episodes.
Yeah.
Like a lot. What is this?
Oh, it's like when you start like connecting the dots, it's like a scam within it's like that Russian doll where you like open up and there's like just more and more of these like things popping up. So when you go to his YouTube channel, a lot of his like video titles are laziest ways to make money online or beginners. I think that was one of his like most popular videos, like with 3 million views. How to make $1,000 per day from anywhere in the world, and 0 to 1.5 million on Shopify in 12 months.
And this is all drop shipping that he's teaching.
Well, here's the interesting bit. So I think he's kind of like pivoted. From the article, I understand that his origins is that he claims to have achieved 1.5 million in sales in Shopify by selling grill mats and t-shirts. And that was in the halcyon days of like drop shipping back in like 2015 when the Facebook ads manager actually launched. And before drop shipping got big, 2015. So that's kind of like an interesting bit again to think that it might be that the drop shipping, the golden days of drop shipping, maybe they're like behind us because the market is a little bit saturated. And now that the guy, I don't know if he made 1.5 million because he never showed any proof of that. But it does make you kind of like wonder why he pivoted into this different sort of lifestyle. And it's almost like he made a bit of money from drop shipping, probably enough to like move to Bali where life quality is a bit like cheaper and expenses are cheaper than in the US. And now he lives in a mansion in Bali, which looks really glamorous. And he started his YouTube channel as sort of this like travel blogger. And now a lot of the other videos that he has on his YouTube, they talk about, how to make money on Amazon or on Meta or Binance or Canva or Upwork or OnlyFans. And like, I look at these videos and I'm like, this is not him. I don't think he was that busy that he made money out of all of these platforms.
No.
I don't think he had time to like be on OnlyFans or Upwork.
I was gonna
like,
say
freelancing, right? Or Canva. Especially looking at his website, I would say that this guy has
it's
not.
terrible.
Yeah, he
No
doesn't
design.
really have any design sense. But it's almost like he cracked that there's like he knows how to like track like trending keywords. So that's what he's like betting on now and getting these views and getting people into his funnel. So eventually, when you go to his like homepage, there is a quiz that you can take which makes it feel like you're getting this like customized kind of result. And like, I think it was called like, what's your like business or thing that you should start in 2024 or 2025, whatever. And so I actually got through this like quiz, and I got to this like end. So it's funny. It actually says like, this guy, Mike Bastille, he fixes specifically for your personality type, this like business
Oh dear.
and the income goals. So you can start using this course today. And there's like a really long like page with a video message from this guy about his like story. And then he like lists down the entire like online course with like the contents.
What does the course promise to teach you?
So that's an interesting bit because it's not drop shipping anymore. It is remote ghost selling. A business model he apparently invented. So on the course, you get a bunch of like testimonials on the page. It's online videos. The top secret recipe that shows you how to build an insanely lucrative remote closing business in just 7 days. Income automation. We talked about automation, right? Leverage ninja tactics to double, triple, or quadruple income, all while working less. So you're getting autopilot income. That's yeah,
The whole passive income situation. Okay.
That's what we're getting at.
So we're going from hustle to passive income to hopefully what? Like, so goodness gracious. Okay.
Yeah, it's just this crazy pipeline. And, I love these like tactics where it's like, you get to the end of this like long landing page with all the benefits, all the testimonials. And normally this course is priced at like $1,000, but you're getting it for a special discount, everything for just $57. And then there was like a little countdown timer underneath. You have 1 hour. This discount is only available until the timer below hits 0. So obviously now I have this page open for like 5 hours. So it still costs $57 to me. I don't know, nothing changed. But yeah, it's fantastic.
What we learned in branding class, if you want something to look cheap, put it at a high discount. Just saying.
Right? Like what we went from
It's
1,000 to
worth
57?
1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, it's worth 1,000, but you're willing to give it out the goodness of your heart for 57? Like, no, I'm sorry.
So generous.
You spent like a day filming this shit and then put up a crappy website and then
Oh my God, yeah.
no.
I swear it looks bad. It actually looks bad. Wait, let me show it to you.
Yes, please.
It's a masterpiece. Let's go all the way up here. So there's a video.
Oh my God. No. Okay.
Every
what I see.
Christian help with a gift to yeah. There's a lot of like Christianity talk. Like God is like telling you to do this. And
Okay. Let me describe what I see. So can you go all the way back up?
I think it's a weird like landing page because he has this is his like MikeBastille.com. Look at this guy.
Okay.
he means business with those pants.
Okay, go back to the landing page.
Yes.
So this landing page, which should still have a link back to your homepage. I don't care what people tell you, even if it's a landing page. Like, okay, anyway, white background.
It's called projectbestme.com.
Oh dear goodness. Okay. The banners and the graphics, like the secondary color is like weird, like early 2000s gray. Like tech gray. Like, I don't know what to call it. It's just like fugly. Anyway, a lot of capitalization, a lot of really bad. Yeah, but also a lot of really bad, like, I don't know, like in situ kind of like, here's a laptop and a title so that it looks like it's real or something. And this guy sells how to make money on Canva. Like, I'm sorry, dude, but you made this.
That's what I was like.
For a
I
second.
cannot believe you hustling on
He
Canva.
could have used a template and it would have been better. Like, come on.
You know what is interesting is that it's always like some kind of blueprint and like some psychology formula, 7-figure script. Like there's some kind of a thing that you can like hack. Like everything about the language is like there's something that he has like something that he hacked and like he made a formula there. And like if you're just gonna do exactly everything that he's gonna teach you, it's gonna be fine. Ultimate pre-sale master training.
Perfect for introverts. Wait, what? Like, oh dear goodness. Yeah, this has a lot of just toxic like manipulation.
Scaling, next level, closing career, free bonus, strategy.
Oh, now we're in the tablet mock-ups instead of the screen.
Testimonials. Oh, I was in the military. I made only 2K a month. Now,
Okay,
thanks
but
to
wait.
remote closing, I was able to make 7.8K in a single month. Work
Wait, 1
anywhere in
second.
the world.
It says testimonials and then it says verified member. Verified by who? Because I entrusted you to verify that these are normal people and real testimonials and not just pictures that you took. First of all, maybe you just created them with AI, or maybe you stole people's pictures off of their Facebook account. Like, who knows?
Telling you reverse image search.
Oh my God. Oh, this banner. Oy, oy, oy. It's like gold crest, 100% satisfaction guarantee, whatever. Like, interesting. No, maybe not. But wow. Oh, credit card info, 100% safe. Yeah, I totally trust you, dude. I really trust you. Wow.
So, yeah, he's an interesting fella.
So from drop shipping to selling, I don't know what.
Well,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying is that yeah, if you go to his YouTube, it's there's a lot of kind of ways to make quick money. He very proudly advertises that he quit medical school or something. He don't want to go into student debt, and now he's like living the life in somewhere in Bali. So yeah, there's been a ton of other courses that he's launched before. Of course, he has his like book and everything, Lazy Man's Guide to Living the Good Life.
no, that's no. We're going down in a whole other weird rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's kind of
Oh,
like
God.
the pipeline from like drop shipping to becoming a questionable online guru, YouTuber, whatever.
I feel like when we do our, online coaches episode, coaches, education coaches, it's gonna have to be like a multiple parter because like this is just a whole other level of scamminess.
It's just a rabbit.
Did you have any other stories?
Yeah, there's another very interesting other guru that I found. So there's this guy Thomas Despine. So Thomas was a French dude who started selling like ladies what was it, shapewear with a drop shipping business as well, and he made like a ton of
Love
money.
when men sell women shit that's just for women. Yeah, that's
Oh,
great.
of course, yeah. So, capitalizing on the female insecurities, why not? So, but this one is interesting. So he made $750K in sales in just 11 months. So almost $1 million. But then he shut down his business. And he wrote a Medium article listing out why, right? This is such a lucrative business. Like he was doing so well. And he explained why. So he said that actually the profit margins were razor thin. The competition was brutal because it's so easy to enter the market. And, you have a trending, product. Same with that like moon lamp. Suddenly a bunch of other people, they spot that, hey, this thing is trending. They're going to go to AliExpress. They're going to go to Temu. They're going to get the same thing and, sell it for a little bit cheaper. And yeah, so he was like constantly scrambling to find like winning products, which is essentially, okay, you have one successful product. What is the next thing? Because you know that the time for this product that is like trending, it's limited. Somebody else is going to catch on. You have competitors on your heels. What is the next big thing that you're going to launch? And of course, it was also kind of, yeah, he called it like a treadmill. So, where the moment you stop running ads or finding new products, your revenue just dries up. And that's something these gurus never mention. They focus on the highlights, right? Like the big sales numbers, but they never tell you the costs of like running ads, dealing with refunds, and the stress of managing suppliers. So there's a lot of like work that is actually happening. And that's the same that we talked about when like running your own business, is that everyone like glamorizes that you're the boss of your own time, but like the reality is that if it's just you running your small little business, there's a lot of like nuances that nobody wants to talk about, and they're not sexy, and if you're going to know the full truth, you're not going to want to buy their course, of course. Yeah, and then you have the customer complaints. So again, going back to the Wired article that talks about how some drop shipping stores, they sell very cheap, poorly made products that take a long time to ship over. So if they even arrive, and that, these gurus rarely touch on the fact that many drop shippers, they just lose money because of all of these hidden pitfalls. Um, and how can you tell that this is a drop shipping guru, like if he is legit or just another scammer? So there's like some signs or like red flags that you should be like looking out for. They do a lot of like luxury flexing, like this Mike guy that we just looked at, like him with this like fancy car and like mansions that he's sitting in. So if they're showing off cars, private jets, more than actual business insights, you should be very skeptical, because a lot of these things you can just rent for like one video. Over the top promises. If they're promising that you're gonna make like 10K in your first month, this is probably not gonna happen. There's no actual proof of success, and I'm gonna say that it's really easy to doctor things online, but again, be very skeptical if there's no clear evidence or they're not disclosing. Okay, even if they tell you how much their revenue was, do they actually talk about also the costs that they had to, incur on, the average like operational things? Like if you're running ads, you also have like costs that you have to like talk about. That's the reality of running a business. And also pressure tactics. Like we talked about that Mike's online course. So there's that like, oh, this is a discount that I'm giving you, but you only have 1 hour and then it's going to be like expensive. Or this thing is only available for, first 50 subscribers or whatever. Yeah, it's again just the sales manipulation. So another great tip is always just do a quick Google search for reviews. See if the people that are giving testimonials, if they're real, do a reverse image search, go to Reddit, ask people around. Chances are that you'll find testimonials from people who just felt that they were ripped off. And I'm not saying that all drop shipping advice is bad. There are legitimate people who have like great advice online, but you have to really, you know, be careful. And a lot of the times, the people who actually have good advice, they give away their advice for free or at a much lower cost, because they know that a lot of the stuff that they're teaching, it's not unique, and you can find a lot of the stuff again for free. So again, go to YouTube, go to Reddit, threads and blogs. They're full of great information for free. And again, remember that dropshipping isn't a guaranteed path to riches. It's a business like any other. It requires time, effort, and the willingness to adapt. So even then, you get everything right, you're still not going to have guaranteed success. Like that's just how it is. That's the reality. And why does all of this like matter is that a lot of these gurus, they target people who are desperate for financial freedom or they're tired of their 9 to 5s. So they are selling a hope, they're selling a dream. And while there's nothing wrong with chasing your dreams, you need to do it with your eyes open and being open to, understand what the reality is in running a business. Yeah, do your research is what a lot of the advice would be here. But
Yeah.
I don't like saying do your research, but in a lot of these things, that try to understand what it makes sense for you. Do you have the finances? Do you have the buffer? What is it realistically going to cost? Run some math, because that's what all business is. It's doing the math.
Yeah. I feel like what you were saying about how it's basically trend chasing, like none of that is sustainable. Like it's so hard. Just building, a business that makes any kind of money is hard for most people in the first place. Um, then you put into the factor that dropshipping is basically trend chasing when you talk about. So I guess there's kind of three aspects. Like, is dropshipping legit in terms of like the consumer buying? Like, are they buying legit products? Then is the business model legit? And then are these influencer gurus, are they legit? And so there's all these aspects. But in terms of like the business model, like solely, like, yeah, it's a thing, it's possible. And I feel like there are some things that are kind of dropshipping adjacent. Like merch stores, for example, are technically, I guess, they are considered drop shipping. So you have, artists or podcasters that might have merch stores. And they never actually see the product necessarily, or they'll order samples, but then that's it, right? And that's fine because that's not the core of your business. And so, you know, even when it comes to like, there are some businesses that have they have a normal product like a SaaS tool, whatever. And then they might have like a merch store. Duolingo now has merch store. Pretty sure they don't have actual warehouses in Pittsburgh that have, well, maybe they do. I don't know. But, so that's kind of like a legit use case, I feel, for this kind of stuff. When it comes down to the business model, I think it's ultimately, um, is it worth it not being sustainable if that is the core of your business, is basically trend chasing? Um, and what is your end goal here? Is it, I want to do this for like a couple years and like make bang and like it's a hustle, to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
and then peace out and do something else? Or do I want to use drop shipping to get like my book out, for example, or to get some merch up and not have to deal with that side? Like, then that's different,
Yeah,
right?
that's fine.
Because and that's not the core of your business. But I think drop shipping as a core business model, I feel like at least it would not be for me. Like, I don't buy from anything, I suspect, that is drop shipping. And again, like you said, you might not know, and I'm like pretty sure I don't. Because I don't even buy on Amazon. Like, I don't buy online a lot, like almost at all. Um, and if I do, then I try to go see the product in a store, and then I'll buy directly from the producer. And yes, place of privilege, I get that. But as much as possible, because of exactly the implications as a consumer. Like, is what's gonna come a miniaturized version of a picture of a thing that was, scanned and copied from another actual person, real artist, producer, and now it's like whatever knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff. And I'm like, I don't I don't need more clothes. I don't need more shoes. I don't need more stuff. I have too much stuff, you know? Like, I don't want more of it. And so,
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's that, like, something that people rarely talk about is the environmental impact as well. Like,
yeah.
if it's so focused on selling some kind of a trending things, it is often like something that people don't need, like whether it's some beauty tool, like ice rollers, they're really big right now. It's something that again is like playing on insecurities of like women and the fear of like getting old. And I see a bunch of people like drop shipping an ice roller, slapping some of their brand on.
Yeah.
It's called Skinny Confidential, this podcast that I used to listen to, and they're selling ice rollers for like $70. And I'm pretty sure if you reverse image search, and this is again, if you suspect that something is like maybe this is dropship, just do a reverse image search or type it into AliExpress or Temu. very certain that you're going to
You'll
find
see
the
it.
same product. If you really want that thing, you can probably get it for cheaper, probably from the same factory. So just saying that, if you want something, go ahead. Just be aware that a lot of the popular products out there, they might be drop shipped and you can probably get it for cheaper. Otherwise, as Sophie said as well, I would just, if you have like a local producer, like a small producer, just support them and their craft and their art rather than, I don't know.
Or maybe you just don't need an ice roller.
Or
I'm just saying, you might not need it. And like, the kind of the last aspect of like, these dropshipping gurus, I think that just goes in the whole category of like online coaches or digital courses or that kind of stuff, which is very ironic because I'm building a digital course right now. But I am running it. No, but well, I don't know. But I mean, I am running it with real people with real cases live. Like these are people that I work with. Like we're doing trials and stuff. They're not paying me. I'm doing it for free. But the point is, I'm trying to see if there's some knowledge I can give people that I can package and then kind of have for people that can't actually pay for my consulting services one-on-one. And like that's different, I feel, than like how to make money on Canva. And then you see this dude's website and you're like, obviously you're an idiot. Like, I'm sorry. Allegedly an idiot. And so it's like, I think that is lumped into that whole category. And we'll do episodes on those, on, digital courses and digital products and coaching coaches and all of that. And so that I'm not even gonna like give a verdict on those because I'm like, they need their own freaking episode. I'd say like as a consumer buying drop shipped products, um, I don't know what your verdict is. What's your verdict?
I would say in terms of like, is drop shipping legit? It's complicated. I think it's a legit business model. I don't think the stores doing drop shipping, they're inherently bad. I think it's just somebody started marketing that as, these like coaches and gurus as some kind of an easy way to like become rich. And that's kind of where the problem comes in. And of course, if you as a consumer are not kind of sure what you're buying and you're overpaying for some product that technically you could get like for a fraction of the price that is being advertised. I think the practices that are, also the advertising, right? Like building some fake brand story, like, oh, it's some custom product where it's like it's the same factory that 5 different brands are like getting their products from, and there's nothing custom or, special about it. That's kind of like where the sketchiness comes in.
Yeah, I think as a consumer, if we're looking at pure like drop shipping brands, I would go for like close between sketch and scam. Like it's very likely, like there's a higher chance that there's going to be a scam in there somewhere um than a physical shop, for example. The physical shop is held to a higher standard in terms of like the local legislation where it's built. If they start selling stuff that's killing people, they're going to be shut down pretty fast, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of that safeguard. Now, when it comes to the business model, I think if you have a need to sell something that requires some kind of physical good and that's not the core of your business, then I think using some kind of drop shipping model works. It works in terms of outsourcing that logistics that you don't want to be doing. And then that's perfectly legit. But the business model where all you do is trend chase, I think it's selling a false dream, and I lean towards very scammy as a
Yes.
business person. Like this is my business and I'm going to make it big, and it smells MLM to me. Do you know what I mean? MLM without the recruiting. That's what it smells like.
Yeah, like
Selling a dream that's not going to happen.
you're not a business owner, you're just a reseller.
No. Yes. But even then, you're a reseller that's at the whims of TikTok and the trend.
Yeah.
And whatever people latch onto, that lasts all of 3 seconds. Like, you can't business plan for that. You can't be like, I will be what in a year? What is your goal and mission in your business?
Yeah, right? It's so like,
I'm going to be the best moon lamp seller. Like, that's going to last 3 days.
and then you're like just so dependent on just like pure luck.
Yeah, I mean, the whole, financial independence promise is not, I don't see it here. So I
High
vote,
competition,
yeah.
low margins, and
Yeah.
ethically just a very great
Very,
area.
yes. I vote highly sketch is my vote.
Yes, getting into the sketchy area. So if you're thinking of trying it, do your research, do the math, and for the love of all that's holy, just don't buy a guru's course.
No. Do your research. No. If any listeners have either ran dropshipping businesses, please give us your story. We'd love to hear about you.
Or if you got
You had-
scammed,
yeah, that too.
you feel
no.
scammed. Yes.
Subscribe to our newsletter. Is thislegitpod.com. Find us on Instagram. We are there with all the fun memes.
Yes. And send any of your tips on info@isthislegitpod.com. Tell us your story. And if you like this episode, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And that's it for our today's episode of Like Is This Legit? See you next time.
Dear listeners, please note that the views and opinions in this episode, like all episodes of Like Is This Legit, do not reflect the official position of the podcast and are the hosts and guests' subjective opinions and quoted allegations. The content from each episode of Like Is This Legit should not be taken for indisputable fact and should be viewed as an educational starting point for listeners. All content shared by our hosts, guests, and sponsors are their own opinions and are not meant to defame or misrepresent any business, group, organization, individual, anyone, or anything. Just don't scam people, okay? Okay.